Sorry, y'all, we had some technical difficulties, but as I've mentioned before, it's really not about rushing this. I feel like that's what we do a lot in life. We're told we have to hurry up and do things. So when I'm in the kitchen and I'm just cooking, I really just want to enjoy the moment. And I hope you all have the opportunity to do that as well. But for all intents and purposes, I know that it's hard to kind of stay focused for extended periods of time for most of us. So I'm going to try to commit to keeping these videos semi-short if I can. It's just meal prep does take some time. I can't say that we can do 5 meals in 20 minutes. I'm not a professional chef. And even I'd imagine for the professional chefs, that would be challenging as well. So what you see is I just sliced one large cucumber, and that's going to be 2 servings of snack for me. So I'm just going to put these in my little Ziploc bags really quickly. And like I said, I have eggs boiling, so I can just put those in my little snack tray too. And it's great to just have snacks, especially if you're someone who, maybe you drive a lot. It's great to just be able to grab a couple of snacks. And that way, instead of stopping and going to get something going out to eat, you already know you have a snack prepared. So I just think it's a beautiful thing, and I can show y'all what I keep my snacks in. So this is my little snack tray. I have my baggies of my celery, my cucumber, and I also have a spot for boiled eggs. So I can just slide it in, slide it out, and go about my day. And it helps me keep my refrigerator pretty well organized too and clean. So I hate it when things spill. And then I have to wipe it up, and then it gets cold, and sometimes it gets sticky because the refrigerator is cold. So that's just a good way for me to stay organized. And over the summer, I kind of had a whole thing about getting more organized around my house. So, and I found that actually it's really helped me feel less anxious to have things in order. I still have a ways to go and how I do that, but so far it's been really helpful. So, I think we're going to start with the carnitas. So this is going to be very easy because I already have a few pre-made things thanks to Trader Joe's here. So we have a spicy Mexican style rice cauliflower. You can use rice if you'd like. As I mentioned, I tend to be more on an anti-inflammatory diet, so I focus on really using a lot of cauliflower as a substitute for rice. That seems to be the craze nowadays, and I really enjoyed the taste and the texture of it. So I'm going to go ahead, and I believe we only need to really saute this. Yep. So we're going to go ahead and saute that, and then I'm going to put the pork carnitas in the Instapot. So where's my Instapot? I have actually a quick reference guide for cooking different meats in the Instapot, so I'm going to look up pork. And it's actually not listed here. But this is already cooked, so I'm not too worried about it, but I will put it on for... You can also grill this too, and actually... No, I don't want to try it out. I'm not going to grill it. I'm just going to put it in my Instapot. So, it's fully cooked though, so I'm not really worried about how much time this is going to take. So, let me put this in. You can put some olive oil. I'm going to use my cast iron skillet just to get it kind of started today. And I'm going to just saute the rice cauliflower while this is also going. So we're going to do... It's not going to take this long, but the nice thing is if we start cooking with, especially with the Instapot, at least it'll already be warmed up. So we won't have to worry about that for the soups or the soup that we're doing. So if you didn't check out the other video, we're going to do a tomato soup, I believe it's called. But it's going to be an elevated tomato soup. So we're using goat cheese and avocado, all of that good stuff. So I'm gonna just break down this a little bit because it was sealed pretty tightly, and I want some of the juices to marinate in there. Put the Instant Pot, get that going. We got olive oil, pan. And actually, you know what? I'm not going to put that in the cast iron because I want to use my cast iron for something else. So I'm just going to use a regular saucepan for the rice cauliflower. And like I said, you don't have to buy a pre-bagged mix. I just saw it at Trader Joe's, and I am a sucker for the freezer section. But you can get a head of cauliflower and red bell peppers or bell peppers and tomatoes and make this yourself. I don't think there's anything else in here. There's turmeric, which actually I'm going to add more turmeric. I have cilantro, lime juice, cayenne pepper, all of the things, garlic. So these are all the things I would have anyway together. So this is just saving some meal prep time. But if you say, you have, especially if you're doing this as part of like, your chosen family or your family activity, it can be nice to have somebody who actually enjoys shopping to do this. But since it's me being solo today, I'm going to leave it like that. So I am going to add a little more cilantro though because I love cilantro. I know folks have a love or hate it kind of feeling with that, but I also love garlic. So we are probably going to use at least probably 3 full cloves of garlic. I'm going to use 1 for this recipe. I'm just going to dice it up. And that shouldn't take very long to saute, maybe 10 minutes, if that. So, I think I lost one. One thing about making a space therapeutic is that you want to make it comfortable. So for me, I have my water because I know the kitchen's going to get warm. I'm going to get thirsty, and when I get thirsty, I tend to eat. So, and I'm not really, even when I'm not really hungry. So I like to have my water ready. And it already looks so pretty. I promise Trader Joe's gets all my money. Anyway, it's also about making the space just feel as comfortable as possible. So I have my candle going. I have some lo-fi beats in the background. Like, that's just me getting kind of in my own zone. And since I'm using my phone for my video, I don't have to worry about being distracted by that. So I'm going to dice up some garlic to add to that rice. And like I said, I like a lot of garlic, so I'm probably going to add a ton. I'm also going to add more turmeric because turmeric is just really good for your brain. So I'm going to add more. And garlic is just really good for your heart. So you can look up all the benefits of these things. At some point, I might go back to these videos and actually add some more information about that. But for all intents and purposes, there's a ton online about this. So let's keep that in mind. And like I said, the beauty of the Instant Pot is things cook pretty quickly. It's already starting to burn a bit, and I wonder if it's because I didn't put enough oil in there. So, and what I'm also going to do, since we're already prepping meats, is I'm going to turn my grill on. You can use your skillet for the Cajun pasta, but I really like grilled shrimp. So I'm going to go ahead and spray olive oil and put my shrimp on the grill so that it can start heating up over here as well. So now you want to make sure it's kind of spread out. Some people ask me, should we leave the shell on or shell off? I like to leave the shell on when it's cooking and peel it off afterwards. But I'm not a professional chef. I don't know what they tend to do, but I can say for me that's worked pretty well. So also also going to put the scallops. So I have mini scallops. I would really suggest, if you're doing this, that you get bigger scallops than the bay scallops. But that's what I have today. So that's what I'm going to work with. Oh my gosh. And it smells really good. I think it's really the lime juice that I'm smelling, but it is just so aromatic here. So yeah, for me, it's just about creating that safe space, not pressuring myself. I have enough pressure in my day-to-day. So when I can get in the kitchen and literally just focus on that, to me, it is a meditation. It is a practice for me. You know, it's not a formal kind of laying there being still, but it does help me focus on one thing. And it's something that I happen to find relaxing. So that's why I think part of it can be very therapeutic for people. But also you learn a new skill. I know when I first started meal prepping a couple years ago, I was not very good at being organized. And so it would take me forever to find stuff. I would get very frustrated. And it was very challenging for me. But I realized when I actually planned and when I actually kind of had a process for doing it, just like I have a process for other things in my life, it became easier. It became something that wasn't as stressful. I didn't have to worry about what I was eating every day because I had options. You know, every day I look in my fridge, and I'm so grateful for this, and I know that I have at least I have a couple of meals, you know. I have a couple of options at any given point. Now, towards the end of the week, it gets kind of slim, but I know I'm going to cook again. And then I also give myself permission, too, to sometimes eat out. You know, sometimes I just want to have a treat. And I want to discover different flavors that maybe I wouldn't find online or, you know, maybe I haven't learned about yet. So it also gives me space to just do that, too. And also, you know, especially when I have, you know, my folks over, it's great to be able to say, you know what, I already have my foods ready for the week, so I'm really only focusing on making this special meal. And for me, it gives me more space to really make it special because I've already allocated some of my food resources to making sure that I already have enough food for the week. I don't have to be stressed on it. So I can go on and on about the benefits of meal prep. I love doing it. I have seen the benefits of it. And it's also helped me understand what my body really needs and what it tolerates. So everybody's body is different in terms of how we react to food. So even if I follow what folks say is the healthy option, quote unquote, it may not agree with my body type. So I have to experiment, and using certain ingredients consistently and paying attention to my body after I eat certain meals really helps. And since most of these meals I have at least twice to 3 times a week, I can really tell, oh, there might be something in that meal, because it's not like I've had 14 different meals in 1 week. I've more than likely only had maybe 4 different meals in 1 week. So it helps me to really narrow down, after that meal, I actually felt really good. I didn't feel sluggish. Or after that meal, I felt really tired. I felt not like myself. So it really helps me figure out what works for me. So yeah, I am definitely a fan of this, clearly. But, you know, it holds me accountable to having this space. And I wish I was in a world where I didn't need to hold myself accountable in this way, but I know myself. So for now, this works. And I hope I can work to the space where I don't feel like I need to do this or anything. You know, I hope I can get to the space where I can just say, I don't need to do anything today. give myself the freedom in that. But I am also a work in progress. We all are. So this is where I am right now. And I choose to meet myself where I am. So hopefully you are also meeting yourself where you are. And being okay with that. So our meats are cooking. That cauliflower rice is pretty much done. I'm just letting it go a little longer because I want the garlic to cook. And you can add more. You can add cilantro, peppers, tomatoes. I'm going to leave this as it is because I'm actually going to do guacamole later on. I don't think my avocados are actually ripe enough yet. Oh, actually, I lied. They are ready. So you can do the avocado if you'd like. I don't know if I'll do it in the video. I think I did the guacamole last time in the video, so it is out there. But avocado, guacamole is pretty easy to make. So we have one more meat, right? We have the chicken here. So I'm going to put some olive oil in the pan and start getting ready for that. So we're doing a smothered chicken. Excuse me. Excuse me. So you can do a smothered chicken in or you can do a smothered pork chop. I just have chicken drumsticks left over and I didn't have pork chops, so I said, well, there's my answer. So that's what we're doing here, but you don't have to do that. You can do something else too, so just keep that in mind. Okay. Go. And since the cauliflower came out so easily, I'm just going to wipe it down, honestly, and just put more oil in it and put the chicken in there. So the thing with smothered chicken is you want to have two separate saucepans. Actually, I'm going to do my chicken in one, and then I'm going to do the gravy in the other, and bring it together. So, I like to kind of do my smothered chicken like liver and onions, essentially, but people have different ways of doing it. So, fortunately, I already had this frozen Ziploc. I'm going to season it in the bag as well, just because I think it's easier to really make sure everything gets coated. So, and you can decide if you want to add a flour batter. I will not be adding that, just because we're going to do the gravy, and I don't see the point in doing a batter when I'm not actually trying to really fry it. It's more of a saute, but you can do whatever works for you. And I grew up in a space where whoever was cooking would cook with a lot of seasoning. I'm going to use a lot of black pepper. And usually there was a lot of salt added. I'm going to use some pink Himalayan salt. So like I said, this is soul food inspired. So for my folks who know soul food, don't judge me. This is not, like I mentioned, this is not I don't own the rights to soul food, and I think that's the thing, especially within Black culture, it's so different depending on the person. So I'm just gonna do it this way. I just put a lot of black pepper and some salt in there. You, like I said, you can coat it, you can do what you want. I just really like black pepper. So you want the oil to be hot, and then you want to put it in. So it should crackle a little bit, and you'll know the water. Or you can sprinkle a little water, and you'll find out if it's actually hot or not. So we're going to let that cook. and we're going to get started on the gravy. So for the gravy, I want to use garlic, I want to use onion, but I particularly want to use mushrooms. So, I'm going to slice up my mushrooms. And I'm going to do the gravy in a separate pan. And afterwards, I might actually bake the chicken, so I don't think I'm going to keep it sauteing very long. You do want to make sure, of course, poultry is cooked fully, so keep that in mind. And this is not going to be enough mushrooms for me, but I really like mushrooms. So I'm probably going to use another. Fortunately for me, I actually have another container of mushrooms because I know how much I like mushrooms. So that's the other thing about cooking. You can pay attention to really honoring your partner. How many times in life do we actually get to do that? So yeah. And yay, I already have some sliced ones left over from last week, so they're done. There we go. I love it when I already have things prepped and I can just be like, oh, there it is, it's done, it's ready. So, another garlic. And if you're not that crazy about garlic, you don't have to use as much. I just know I am. So I use a lot of it, but I also understand that not everyone is about that life. So if you're not about it, it's okay. No judgment zone here. Just do what works for you. You're the one who has to eat it. So let's try to take this out. Get this out of the plate. The crackling in the back is the chicken sauteing. You also, if you have your seafood on the grill, you may want to flip it. Mine was frozen, so I know it took a little while anyway. But and add maybe some more oil so it doesn't dry out. I'm also going to start to add my Cajun seasoning. So I am a fan of the Old Bay seasoning. That's what I grew up with, so that's what I know. But you can use any other kind of Cajun seasoning. This is supposed to be Creole, so that's what we're going to work with here. I also forgot, but another thing we're going to need is whipping cream. And we have leftover Alfredo sauce, but you can use, if you don't have Alfredo sauce, you can use like whipping cream. We just have leftovers from last week. So I'm going to take out my few tomatoes. And this also helps me plan for how I cook in the future, right? So, you know, now I know looking at my refrigerator that veggies for me, my veggie stock maybe lasts 2 weeks, maybe. So I keep that in mind when I'm stocking, so that I don't waste food when food goes bad. So that it doesn't go bad, but also, you know, I know how much I need to restock as well. So that chicken is going to be ready shortly. So I want to put some pep on the gravy so we can let it saute, put it in the oven. So I have mushrooms, and I like to just make sure they get nice. Not too, I don't like them like black almost. I like them like a dark tan, you know, so to speak, right? So that it still seems like they're not shriveled up. I don't like shriveled up mushrooms, but I also don't like them white. So because to me the whiteness is just too dry. I like to see that the natural flavor is kind of already established. So I'm also going to dice some onion, and that's really going to make for the vegetable component of the chicken. You can also choose to saute the greens, especially if you got what I got, the collard greens. If they were just mustard greens, I definitely recommend boiling them and, you know, using the Instapot. But like I said, sometimes you don't have the time. And if you do have the time, I feel like that's where the soul part kind of comes in. Because you're putting radishes, and if you use a turkey neck, things of that nature, you know, you're seasoning it, you're stirring it over time, you're letting the flavors really meld together. So that to me is where the soul comes from. Because there's intentional time put into it. It's a practice. To me, that's what makes things soulful. When it's something that's coming from our heart, and it's just something that we know to be true. So that's the mushrooms and garlic for the smothered chicken. I'm gonna dice an onion really quickly. And I do like onion, but I also realize that I'm gonna put some in the greens too. So I'm probably not gonna use a ton of onion for the gravy, but you can use whatever works for you. And if you want to put a French spin on it, you can use heavy cream. I do like putting a French spin on things because it just makes the food so decadent to me. And I really just like really rich food. So I know I can't eat like that every day, but I do enjoy kind of creating that. So I'm going to use a cream. You don't have to. You can use flour if you want, and milk. But I also am, like I said, I tend to follow a pretty anti-inflammatory diet. So for me, I won't be using flour, but you can if you'd like. So I just want the onions to get a little translucent, and then I'm going to be ready to make the gravy. I'm going to flip over this one more time. And if you haven't moved your pork carnitas, especially if they are already cooked, you may want to move them. So, turn that off. And there we go. So those are cooked. I would just recommend breaking it down with a fork. Mine was already frozen, so it's a little hard to break down, but... And you can put these in lettuce wraps. If you want to make it into mole, you can add some cocoa powder. I'm not going to add cocoa powder this time. Maybe I will actually do mole one of these days. But, since this was already kind of done, I'm just going to leave it in the recipe. And I had already added some garlic. So, there we are. So, I'm going to show y'all this. So that is the pork carnitas and the cauliflower rice. So there we go. My lunches for the week are done. So, if you're still boiling your eggs and you started when I started, you might want to turn them off. Okay. What did I say we were doing? The gravy. Okay. And then, by the time we're done with that, our pasta will be ready to mix. So, like I said, you can do flour and water. That's the simple way to make a gravy. But I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to do kind of a French option and use heavy cream. You don't have to. I just like to do that. Just because it adds an extra flavor of richness. So, you can also add a white wine to it. If that's something you'd also like to do. I'm not going to because I don't have a white wine. I think actually I do have a white wine. But I'm not going to today. So. I just keep it simple. I just add black pepper and salt. You can add another seasoning. But honestly, I feel like with the garlic in there, like there's an opportunity for the food to kind of create its own flavor from the ingredients we use rather than trying to season it up. So say I don't really know how to make gravy, you could also get the packets. They have the brown gravy packets where you literally can just add water. And I'm also going to start setting my oven on. Like I said, I know my chicken's not done. But I'm also not trying to have it cook on the stove. I want to give it an opportunity to really meld in all the flavors here. So, hey, the gravy is pretty much done. Just make sure you add that black pepper and salt. Like I said, it's all about the seasoning. At least that's what I learned from my family growing up. But it doesn't take a lot. And I think that's a great life lesson. It does not take a lot to show love. It doesn't take a lot to do things sometimes. People, I should say, society often tells us, well, you need to do this or you need to do that. Or it has to be a certain way for you to start. And I always say, well, who decided that? Who said that? How do they know? Sometimes it's just starting. Sometimes that's what we really need to do. Get out of our own way and just do it. And figure it out more as we go along. So I tend to stand by that belief. And I just try to take it from there. And sometimes I find that it really didn't take all of that. The times when I felt most anxious about things and I've engaged in stinking thinking, as my grandfather likes to say. Often I was just stressed. And when I actually went through the process, I realized it really didn't take all that. I didn't need to put myself through that. I caused myself unnecessary suffering. And that is something that I don't want to do. I just don't want to do that. The world has enough suffering, and we all experience it at some point anyway. But why put yourself through it, you know? Why cause extra suffering when you can just try and see what happens? Sometimes it works out. Even if it doesn't work out, you learn something. And to me, I figure if I can say, hey, I learned something here, then I still win. So I'm putting my smothered chicken in the oven and let that chicken finish cooking. We're going to move on to our Cajun pasta. So, garlic, onion, same thing. I'm going to put some more olive oil in the cast iron skillet.